This is for the race for the 42nd Legislative District, and we did invite all three candidates to attend. Candidates Dean Berkeley and Luann Van Werven were unable to participate today. And so it's my pleasure to introduce Justin Boneau, who is able to be here, and we're delighted to have him. I just want to give you a brief definition of what is entailed in the job of the House of Representatives. There are 98 members in the House. 2 are elected from each of the districts in the state. During the legislative sessions, the legislature is called upon to enact or reject legislation affecting public policy in the state, provide for levy and collection of taxes and other revenue to support state government, and assist local government and appropriate funds for these purposes. The House also has the exclusive power to bring impeachment proceedings. Although laws are enacted only when the legislature is convened in formal session, policy issues and general operation of the state and local governments are under continuous review by members of the legislators who serve on a permanent and interim study committees throughout the year. Washington State representatives serve 2-year terms. Their annual salary is $47,776. Since we have one candidate, we will reduce the time allocated for this race, but the format and the rules will follow will be the same as we have for the other races during the day's forum. So, candidate Boneau, you will have 2 minutes for an opening statement, and then 1 minute to respond to each question. He will have a 1-minute closing statement. Okay, I guess we're ready to start. And candidate Boneau, I would like you to give your opening statement now for 2 minutes.
Sure. Howdy, everyone. My name is Justin Boneau, and I'm running for state representative in the 42nd Legislative District, position 1. I'm a worker. I'm a father to a 4-year-old daughter, and I moved here in 2005 after serving 6 years in the Navy. I was a machinist mate in the nuclear propulsion program. After serving my 6 years, I decided to move here to Washington State, or actually to here to Whatcom County, to be closer to mine and my wife's family. And I attended Western, graduated in 2010, and since then I've been working for the Department of Ecology with the Ecology Youth Corps. You probably have seen our bags on the freeway. And I primarily, during the summers, I work with 14 to 17-year-old teenagers, which can be exciting sometimes. But yeah, I want to be somebody that will represent the working families of Whatcom County. And so, thank you for inviting me, League of Women Voters.
Okay, great. The first question we'd like you to answer: if elected, what legislation would you make a personal priority to pass because you believe it would most benefit the people of your district? And why do you choose this?
Okay, that's a great question. I believe that, like many families in Whatcom County that rent, that housing costs it seems like a runaway train, and that every year rents keep going up, sometimes multiple times a year. And so I would like to address the statewide ban on rent regulation. And because I believe that cities like Bellingham should determine if it's in their best interest to enact rent stabilization laws.
Thank you. The next question: what do you think are the best opportunities for economic development and job creation in your district?
Okay, I believe that we can start the transition to green infrastructure in Whatcom County and green jobs. I think that's a very exciting opportunity because, frankly, climate change is probably the number one threat to our existence here on Earth. I mean, if we're going to take the scientists seriously, we need to do something now. We should have been doing something a long time ago. So addressing that need and encouraging other green companies to come here to Whatcom County would go a long way with creating jobs here in Whatcom County.
Thank you. Kind of a segue into the next question,
Mhm.
which is along the lines of the environment. What, if anything, should the legislature do to further protect the Salish Sea from the continuing acidification and rising temperatures, particularly in light of the impacts on shellfish?
I believe that we could address that by limiting the amount of emissions into our environment, which is causing the acidification of our Salish Sea, and we can do that by a carbon pricing regime. I think that is something that we could. That is something that we could do to internalize those externalities of those fossil fuel industries.
The next question, are there any legislative measures you support or propose to promote responsible gun ownership and reduce gun violence?
Absolutely. Is this still on? Oh, absolutely. Like many of you know, Initiative 1639 was able to gather enough signatures to get on the ballot. They did it in record time. They had 1 month to get the requisite signatures. So that is, I mean, that just shows you what kind of energy is out there to actually do something with regards to gun violence. And I'm going to vote for it. I encourage every one of you to vote for it. And if elected to the state legislature, I'd make sure that that the proposals in Initiative 1639 remain.
Thank you. The next question is, given the increased responsibilities and obligations in our state government, are there changes we should make to our tax system? If you think so, please explain.
Yes, absolutely. The tax system that we have in Washington State is upside down. We ask our poor and our working class to pay the majority of their fair share, and the rich and corporations, it's time for them to start paying their fair share. And I'd be in favor of a capital gains tax. I'd be in favor of an income tax. I'd be in favor of a carbon pricing. I'd also be in favor of vacancy unit tax as well. Those would all be progressive revenue generators that would only impact the wealthiest among us.
Okay, thank you. The next question. State funding for public colleges and universities has steadily decreased, resulting in higher tuition and fees. Is it a priority for you to increase affordability in our higher education? And if so, how would you do so?
Absolutely. When I came here to Whatcom County to start going to school at Western, I was attending Western on the Montgomery GI Bill. And at the time, I was under the old Montgomery GI Bill, where I was awarded $34,000 to go to school to try to pay for a four-year degree. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough, and I had to finance the last year of my school. So I'm actually still paying off student loans. I mean, you don't necessarily hear that from somebody that served their country, because more the legislation has changed, and now most service members are eligible under the new Montgomery GI Bill. It's also known as the post 9/11 GI Bill. But yeah, higher education in the state is expensive. I have family members that they will probably end up paying student loans for the rest of their lives. So we need to do something with regards to the affordability of higher education.
Thank you. So you're up there alone,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of difficult. I sympathize. I would like you to think about what qualities you have that distinguish you from your opponents, other than that they're not here.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know much about Dean Berkeley. I read a little bit about him or about his platform in the voter pamphlet statement, and I guess that cursive writing is as important to him to get his name on the ballot. However, Luann, I mean, from what I've heard, she's a very lovely person, but I don't think she has the lived experience of being a working class person that comes from a two-earner family that doesn't know how to make the ends meet. And I want to be a voice for those people here in Whatcom County.
Okay, thank you. Next question, what actions should the state take to fairly allot fresh water for all purposes?
I'm assuming this is with regards to the Hearst decision.
This is it with regards to fresh water, not only the Hearst decision, but yes, all of the needs that we have in the county.
Yes.
What action can the state take?
I mean, we have mechanisms in making sure that the state can provide fresh water to everyone in the state that needs it, and it's about enforcement. And I work for an agency that unfortunately is maligned, and I understand that, but it's, they do have a responsibility of enforcing the laws with regards to how much each person or each industry is using fresh water. So I would ask that the Department of Ecology start using their enforcement mechanisms.
Thank you. The next question is, what kinds of policies or laws will you pursue to support racial and social justice across our state?
Well, I am sensitive to this because I am a person of color. But what we need to do is, we might not see it here in Whatcom County as much, but our policing policies have disproportionately impacted our communities with people of color. So I think addressing that can go a long way, and our LGBTQ plus community, unfortunately, is still is on the brunt of discrimination as well. But we have laws that can address these needs, and it's about enforcing those as well.
Thank you. This is the last question, candidate Boneau. What is the state's role in funding housing and services for the homeless? And what additional measures would you support, if any?
I'm of the mind that housing is a human right. And I think more and more people are starting to come around to that idea. And I'd be in favor of just like the other candidates that were up here before me, they mentioned the Washington Housing Trust Fund. That's woefully underfunded. We should not only bring that trust fund back to pre-recessionary levels, but I'm of the mind that we should bring it back to the pre-recessionary levels and then doubling it, because the recession was what, 2008. Is when we started coming out of it, I guess, 2009, and we're about 10 years after that. So, I mean, if we adjust for inflation, we probably should be at levels that were double the pre-recessionary levels. So I think that could go a long way with creating hundreds of thousands of new, affordable, quality social housing units.
Thank you. Now it's time for a 1-minute closing statement. If
Okay.
there are any other things that you'd like to share with us, now is your opportunity.
All right, well, I wanted to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting me today. Like I said, I come from a two-earner family. I'm a state employee. I don't make a ton of money, but I figured out a way to get by for up until about a year ago. But it's starting to get hard. It's starting to get hard for working families in Whatcom County because housing prices keep going up, healthcare premiums keep going up, and our wages are staying the same. And I think we can do something about it. I think that there are policy prescriptions to addressing some of those needs, and it's time to have somebody that's going to be militant about our working class here in Whatcom County. If you could also visit justinboneau.com, and also visit Elect Justin Boneau, my Facebook page, if you would like to get involved with my campaign. Thank you.
Thank you. And please join me in thanking Mr. Levac and thanking him for running for public